name's Derek Campbell, and this is Beginner Guitar Lessons, and this is our first video on how to play E minor, A suspended second, and D suspended second. That little song that I was just playing earlier was Horse with No Name, and it used E minor, one of the chords that we're going to be doing. It also used this chord, which we're not going to practice today, but I'll show you how to do it at the end of the lesson. So just want to talk a little bit about what we're doing here. Thanks a lot for watching this video and coming and visiting the website. Very glad to have you here. So I'm really excited about how this new format is going to work. Basically, this webpage has all the information you need to learn how to play these three chords. There's pictures that on the website, and what those are for are to show you where to put your fingers when you play these chords, and they're taken from two different angles. One from like your point of view, and then another from out in front. So look at those pictures before you do anything. Also on the webpage is an audio file that has audio of me playing these chord exercises over and over again for you to practice along with. So that way there's no question about what you're supposed to practice or how you're supposed to practice. Just hit play on that and then just strum along with it. So before you do that though, you need to watch this video and I'll explain how to do all these chord exercises. So to begin with, you've already watched the video on how to hold the guitar and you're comfortable holding it, holding the pick. So now we're going to actually do something with that. So the first chord that you're going to do is E minor. So you're going to put your first and second fingers on the 5th and 4th string, 2nd fret. Just strum all the strings. The second chord that you're going to play is A suspended second. And all you have to do from the E minor chord is just move both fingers down one string. So your first and second fingers are on the 4th and the 3rd strings. And you're going to strum everything but the top string. However, don't worry too much about trying to avoid that 6th string. For right now, I want you to focus more on your left hand technique. Okay, first part of the exercise. Basically, you're going to strum each chord one time, and you're going to give yourself 4 beats to get to the next chord. So you don't strum, wait 4 beats, and then make a mad dash at the second chord. You strum, immediately start moving your fingers, and you have sort of a countdown of 4 beats to get to the next chord. So basically like this. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. So notice how I'm kind of slowly moving my fingers to the next chord. So in the audio file, you'll do that like 8 or 9 times. Then you go on to the next step, which is a little more difficult. You're going to strum each chord 2 times. Let each strum only ring for 2 beats now, instead of 4 beats. So now you have a little bit less time to make that transition. Okay? So again, in the audio file, you'll do that like 8, 9, 10 times. And then go on to the final step. You're going to strum each chord 4 times and have even less time to make the transition because each strum is only ringing for 1 beat. So how long is a beat? Well, beat's kind of however long you want it to be. If you want it to be this speed, you can make it that speed. However, the audio file is at a set pace, so obviously you have to play along with that pace. But if that's too fast for you, you are free to just play on your own and just try and do it a little bit slower. So those are the 3 steps to the chord exercises. Start off in whole notes, giving yourself 4 beats to get from one chord to the other. Then in half notes, strumming each chord 2 times, letting each strum ring for 2 beats. And then in quarter notes, letting each strum ring for only 1 beat, strumming each chord 4 times. And that was the first chord exercise. Now the second one is A suspended second to D suspended second. So once again, there are those pictures on the page. If you're having any problems with this, just take a look at those again and then come back to the video. So A suspended second we already covered. D suspended second, you're using your 1st and your 3rd fingers. 1st finger's on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. 3rd finger is on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. With D suspended second, you try not to strum the top 2 strings, but again, don't worry too much about that. In the first few weeks, you don't want to get too wrapped up in trying to avoid strings with the pick. So, once again, whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes. So, going from A suspended second to D suspended second, and you're going to strum each chord 1 time and give yourself 4 beats in between each chord. So like this, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And then back up. Now, this chord exercise is a little more difficult because you're using your 1st and 2nd fingers and then your 1st and 3rd fingers. So you are going to have to kind of go through it a few times, not even in whole notes, but just giving yourself all the time in the world that you need to make that transition from one chord to the other. because you do want to make sure that you're using the first and the third fingers for the D suspended second chord. Resist the temptation to use your first and second fingers for both chords, because you do need to start immediately learning how to use all the fingers on your hand. So again, the next step is just going from A suspended second to D suspended second in whole notes and then in half notes. Strumming each chord 2 times. And then the final step is to do it in quarter notes, strumming each chord 4 times and letting each strum ring for just 1 beat. Last chord exercise is E minor to D suspended second. So again, just pretty similar move from one chord to the other, using your first and second fingers for E minor, first and third fingers for D suspended second, and you're going to do that in whole notes, half notes, and quarter notes. So once again, E minor, giving yourself 4 beats to make the transition, and then back up. And then after you do that, in the audio file, do it in half notes, strum each chord twice, let each strum ring for 2 beats, and then in quarter notes. So as you do this, make sure that you're pressing down with your fingertips. If you hear any muted strings, don't worry about it too much, but if you're not pressing down with your fingertips, or your fingers are kind of leaning over the strings, try and fix that. Try and get your fingers perpendicular to the strings. Remember to press down with the fingertips, and remember to stay as close to the fret wires as you can get. If you can get both fingers close to the fret wires, like D suspended second, make sure you do that. E minor and A suspended second, you'll be able to get your second finger close to the fret wire, but not the first finger so much. So just get your second finger as close as you can, and then just smash the first finger in as close to that as you can get it. So, next step in the lesson is to go over the scale. So, looks like this. And then backwards. Now, we're not going to go that fast. We're going to go a lot slower than that, actually. So what's going on here is you're just using all 4 fingers, playing all the frets that you can within a 4 fret span. So I started up here at the 7th fret, and then I played the 8th fret, and then the 9th fret, and then the 10th fret. You're going to start off at the 6th string, 7th fret, and then go down to the 5th string, play all the same notes, then go down to the 4th string, and then to the 3rd string, 2nd string, and 1st string. And then you just go backwards, playing frets 10, 9, 8, 7 on each string. So to begin with, I'm going to play this in half notes. So I'm going to let each note ring for 2 beats, but this is going to be different from the chord exercise. I'm just going to play each note 1 time. So basically like this, 7th fret, 8th fret, 9th fret, and then the 10th fret. Now this first week of doing the scale, you just want to focus on getting your fingers to the right note. There are some aspects of technique that we're going to talk about in the next lesson, but for right now, don't worry about that. Just focus on finding the right note and then making sure that you're hitting the correct string with the pick. You'll have your plate full just doing that. So, let's go ahead and try this together, starting off with your first finger on the 7th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now to the 8th fret, 9th, and 10th. Next string down, 7th fret, 8th, 9th, 10th, 4th string, 7th fret, 8th fret, 9th fret, 10th fret, 3rd string. Okay, so now going up down to the 2nd string. And finally the 1st string. Okay, so now we're going to go backwards, play the 10th fret again, 9th, 8th, and then 7th. So now back up to the 10th fret of the 2nd string, 9th fret, 8th fret, 7th, 10th fret of the 3rd string, and 10th fret of the 4th string, 10th fret of the 5th string, back up to the 10th fret of the 6th string. So, in the practice file, you'll do it in half notes, and then again in quarter notes, which will be this fast. Now, if these speeds are too fast for you, don't despair. Feel free to go ahead and just play it on your own outside of the audio file, just at whatever speed you need to do it at to get comfortable with it. Once you can do that, then go ahead and try and play along with the audio file again. So, I mentioned that song that I did in the beginning. That was A Horse with No Name by the band America. It goes from E minor and then to this chord, which is D6, 9/F sharp. Don't worry about the name. All you have to remember is that you start off from E minor and you move your first finger up one string and then your second finger down one string. So your first finger's on the 6th string, second finger's on the 3rd string. You go back to E minor, first and second fingers on the 5th and 4th strings. So it's kind of like your fingers are sort of doing the splits and then coming back together. And the strumming pattern is just pretty simple, just down, down, up, up, switch chords, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's basically the entire song for 5 minutes. So once you're comfortable going from E minor to A suspended second, feel free to try this song. You may not have heard of it, but your parents have probably heard of it. So, work on those chord exercises, play along with the audio file. If you have any problems, come back and watch the video, check out the pictures, and then after a week of practicing that, go on to the second lesson where we'll do E7, A7, D6, and then talk a little bit about the proper technique when playing this scale. Thanks a lot.